as a reminder, everyone jumps on this call late. I know how it is. It's the noon call. It's Monday. It's the first Monday of the month. I want to take a minute just to celebrate last month. Like, it was bonkers. And some of you guys are smiling and nodding because I saw you literally on Thursday pull out all the stops, go wild. Your team recruited you. I saw your belief grow. And mostly, y'all, my dog has a really bad cold. Is that crazy? He's never had one before. So you're going to hear him like snorting and sneezing in the background, but I'm going to mute myself. Okay. You guys pulled out all the stops at the end of November. And if you haven't caught up over on the Plexus Ambassador Academy page, then you need to go over there and watch. First of all, you need to watch the live that Genevieve. Yes, Tina, I heard about that. You need to watch the live that Genevieve did on Saturday morning, where she talks about the fact that I believe we had, first of all, I know that we sold more balance in 10 days than we have in the past 5 months, which is amazing. What it tells me is that you guys helped build a lot of belief around balance. And I will tell you that I was on our product focus group when we created balance. And at the time we were like, oh, it's just an updated block. We've had block for a while, blah, blah, blah. And I remember the creators were, and the scientists were saying like, no, this is a next level product. Like, it's amazing what the ingredients do. It helps not only block your carbohydrates and helps your glucose and all those things, but it helps your pancreas produce insulin. It helps with feelings of fullness. And of course, now it's 2023 and we're like, oh yeah, we want all those things. We're hearing a lot about that now. So as usual, we just needed to build belief in this incredible product, and we did. So there's that. If you didn't hear Kristen's question just a minute ago, then let me update it, because you need to know what's going to be happening this month. And that is that if someone orders Triplex plus Reset, they are going to get a free balance, which you're confused right now because you're like, I thought you said we're running out of balance. And we are. We run out of balance. But here's the deal. The belief in what's happening right now with the company's growth, we want to stay in that kind of momentum. And so instead of, they had originally offered like, hey, if you order a Triplex and Reset, then you get a free MetaBurn. They decided, no, we're going to lean into this momentum. We're going to offer a free balance because everyone's enjoying it right now. Everyone's loving it. People are going to have big results in 2 weeks. They're going to have their own testimonies. We're going to add free balance, change it from MetaBurn, and we're going to offer a free sleep on top of that. So if your customer today orders Triplex plus Reset, they're not only going to get a free balance, which is going to ship out in about 2 to 3 weeks, but when they get their order, they will receive a card that says something to the effect of, and Emily, you can help me with this if I'm not getting this wording correctly, but something to the effect of, oops, we've sold so much of this product that we're a little behind, but we don't want you to lose sleep over this. So we are giving you a free bottle of sleep. Now, let me tell you this. Some of you guys have not tried sleep yet. This is my I don't go without it product. And I am someone that used to preach, don't take excess melatonin. Your body won't make enough of it. Well, let me just tell you that with what's happening in my body right now, my integrative doctor is like, you're very low on melatonin. You're in a burnout place with your hormones. You're not making much melatonin. You need to be on melatonin. And when she took a look at our sleep gummies, she was like, this is an amazing product for you hormonally. So I don't miss a night of it. And I'm just telling you, like, you might be someone that doesn't need to take it every night, but I guarantee this is an easy product for people to fall in love with, because when you take it, you feel it and you feel good. I feel great personally. It's helped me a ton over the past 2 months. Okay. That's a little admin stuff. Make sure you're following along on the table for all of these updates about what's happening this month. But here's one thing I want to say. We started to create a lot of momentum last month. And some of you guys felt it, and some of you guys saw it happening on other people's teams, and you're like, hey, I want in on this. And I just want to tell you, okay, the way you create momentum is you start at the beginning of the month. Everyone gets motivated in the last 3 days. But for those of you that are really wanting to raise your leadership lid, you've got to jump in and really start sharing with that kind of belief. Right now, we had an income call last night. Right now on the table is the going silver in 6 days. That Chat is happening in the table. So if you click on the table, every group in Facebook now has a chat section. You can join right there. You can follow along. If you kind of need to figure out what's being shared in there before you invite someone to be a part of it, please do that. But this is so important for this month when we're offering double rank up bonuses. Okay. So get excited. You have someone on who's a new VIP for you that would love to earn $400 this month, would love to be able to replenish some of their budget after Christmas. Okay, I don't want to take up too much more time. I want to introduce you guys to Emily Burgess. And let me tell you a little backstory. So Emily joined under Tamara Holloway, and way back, gosh, Emily, I'm going to have to think. It had to be Orlando. You spoke on stage. I thought you were a senior ruby, but you might have been a sapphire. You can clarify when you tell this story. Anyway, yeah, 2018. Okay, I remember where I was. I remember it was convention. I was talking to someone next to me, and then Emily was on stage and she was sharing her story. And I just did one of the like, what? Like just stopped everything and started listening. Yeah, I think you were a senior ruby. And I knew from listening to her, I was like, this girl's going to be a diamond. This girl's going to be a diamond. She has not only an amazing story, but it's a story. And it reminds me of my story where God takes you from like absolutely not to absolutely yes. And you know, it's God because it's probably such a humbling process that you're like, I would never put myself through that. Only the Lord does things like that. So I want to introduce you to Emily Burgess. She used to be around here in my neck of the woods down in Arkansas. She is now in Idaho. I'm going to let you hear some of her story, but I want you to understand that not only is she a diamond who continues to grow, show up, she's a recruiting rock star. I swear she has been through all sorts of things in her business. So I don't want you to just listen to like the highs. I want you to be able to catch the hard as well. She currently serves on our advisory board, which means she gives a lot of time, not just to her team, but to the entire company. She's a part of making the decisions that affect all of us. I'm so grateful for her. And I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic to you, Emily, and let you share.
You're so sweet. I hadn't thought about that talk. You guys, Alec Clark, he came to Boise. That's where I live. Can you hear me okay? Is it an okay sound? Okay. So he came to Boise a few months before that convention, and we had just a few people. It was when we were doing the tours or whatever. We had a few people, and I think I shared my story, and he came up to me and he's like, "Hey, I want you to speak at convention and share your story." And I punched him in the arm. I punched the president of Plexus in the arm. And I was like, "You have got to be joking me right now." And I said, "Let me think about it." I went home. I think I cried to my husband. I think I like either vomited or wanted to vomit, but I was like, I have to do this. Like, I don't want to do this at all, but I have to do this. And that was like one of the, like, that was a core memory. It was like, I don't even, it was crazy. I mean, I walked on that stage and there were like 14,000 people. And I shared my story. And then after that, it was like, I can do this. And I feel like that's what I've gone through with every stretch of my comfort zone. Because like Becky said, for 4 years, I said no to Tamara. And I'm not saying like I just said no. Like Tamara Holloway, if you guys don't know her, you need to follow her. She's amazing. She's one of my best friends. We went to college together down in Arkansas at a private Christian college, and she and I both dated the same guys, but I was a softball player and she was a cheerleader, so she always got them. I was just, the weirdo in the background, but we didn't really like have a close relationship. And then she messaged me when she just started her business. So she was either like silver or had just gone gold, and asked me, like, she sent me this really long message and was telling me why she thought I'd be great at the business. And I don't even know if I responded. And she put a lot of effort and thought into it. Cause like now that we're ambassadors and we're sending those messages, like she took time crafting that. I don't even know if I responded. Well, then a few weeks later, she said, "Hey, can I get your address? I want to send you something." Well, my husband and I both were working for nonprofit ministries. So we had no money. So anytime anybody offered anything for free, I was like, yes, here's my address. So I gave her my address, and she sent me this beautiful box with some samples of Slim. She sent me 3 sticks of Slim, a handwritten letter that was like top and bottom of the card. It wasn't just like huge font, like enjoy. Like, she was very intentional with what she wrote in the card. And it was very belief building, very much she was casting vision of what this could be for our family. It wasn't about the products, it was about the business. She put in magazines, all sorts of things. I threw everything away, including the samples, because I didn't want to be that girl. Like, I didn't understand Plexus. I saw a lot of my friends sharing Plexus and sharing that they were losing weight, and I didn't understand it. So I just assumed it was a weight loss fad diet. And I assumed if I'm going to put something in my body, like, that's going to help me lose weight, then it's probably not good for me. So I'm just going to go back to eating my normal, like, tacos and chocolate chips and peanut butter, and I'm healthy in that aspect, which is ridiculous. But that was where my mind was, because I was uneducated. And so for 4 years, Tamara really pursued a friendship with me. And, it's interesting. In those 4 years, she asked me, intentionally brought up Plexus, asked me about Plexus only 3 times, which I think that's amazing. Like, in 4 years, she talked to me about Plexus 3 times, but she was constantly connecting with me. She was sending me messages about whatever, like a recipe I just posted, and I wasn't big on social media, but she would like ask me questions about where I live in Boise. She would ask me about my kids, like, hey, I saw that you did this fun craft with your kid. Like, will you walk me through, like, what did you do? Like, she was showing interest in me. And I did not feel like she was just out to get me to join her company, that she was only befriending me for money. And I had a lot of friends that were doing Plexus. I had a lot of friends that were messaging me and asking me to do Plexus with them. But it was very different because hers was very intentional. And I knew that she was sending it to me from the heart, and I knew that she believed in me. Whereas a lot of the other people, I was simply a recipient of a copy and paste. And so I think that's really important for us to like remember, because I'm going to address that in just a minute. But so she sent me those samples, I threw them away. She told me, hey, if you ever, later on down the road, if you ever are interested, let me know and I'll send you some samples again. And so in those 4 years, I wasn't going to her page to see her stories, but I was seeing them pop up because she was engaging with me. It helped the algorithm. So I was seeing her stuff all the time, and I felt like she was a friend. I was becoming more educated in the products because she and a bunch of my network were sharing about the products. They were sharing about the science and the education behind the products. And so I was learning it wasn't just a weight loss fad diet. I was learning that it was natural, that they were probiotics and supplements, and they were good for me. I was seeing more and more people sharing about how the products were helping them with XYZ, not just weight loss. I remember she sent me her diamond doc and said, will you watch this? Like, as a friend, will you watch this? And I remember laying on the floor with my husband watching it, and we both were kind of snickering, like, yeah, we're not ever going to do this. But there was like something in my soul that kept like pushing, like, but what if? What if? And I don't know if you guys know Tamara's story, but her story is that again, we went to college together. So I knew her. She wasn't some random person that I didn't know. She was like a mystery shopper for Papa John's Pizza and Arby's. And she was making $40 as she was going to wherever, Papa John's, to help pay off her husband's PA school loan. And then I was seeing her transition into this woman who was becoming confident, and she was becoming this leader. And I'll never forget, she had a picture of her holding up a stick of Slim with her home behind her. And it was this beautiful dream home that she was able to purchase or build, I can't remember what, for her family in their dream neighborhood. And I remember her saying, like, it was a simple caption that just said something like, because of this pink drink, we were able to purchase his home, or something just simple that I was like, okay, there might be something here. And so she messaged me about 3 years in and said, this is the last time I will message you about this, because I respect you and I love you. And I want you to know I hear you, but I also want you to know I really, really believe in you. I don't think I ever responded back. Or if I did, I said, no, thank you. But then a year later, I was sitting at the table with my daughters. I have two young, or at the time I had two young girls. And I remember eating 2 bowls of like sugary frozen character cereal. And then I topped it off with a Reese's peanut butter pumpkin. It was in October of 2016. And I remember, I say it this way, like I waddled back to the bathroom to get ready for the day. And I remember looking in the mirror, and I just remember looking at myself and just saying, like, what has happened to you? Like, you have no control over what you're eating. You don't feel like yourself. You're not sleeping. You are exhausted. You're not showing up to be the mom that you always thought you would be. And so at that point, I actually reached out to like 3 or 4 friends of mine, and I said, hey, listen, Christy, I want you to be totally honest with me, because if I were to do this, I would do this under Tamara. So you can be totally honest with me. Like, I know you've been sharing Plexus, but do you actually believe in these products? Like, do you actually believe that these do what you say they do? And every single person, knowing that they would not make a penny off of me, every single person said, absolutely. And so what you see like in this story is that it had to be in my timing. I had some major belief barriers, but I also had like something in my soul, because she cast that vision for me. I didn't feel that from the other 30, 40 people that had messaged me about Plexus, but she planted something in my soul by telling me what she saw in me from the very beginning. It wasn't just about the products. It was about what she saw in me that I had not yet seen. So that was October. In November, or like the beginning of November, I messaged her and I just said, hey, I am not committing to anything, but if your offer still stands, I would love to maybe try a sample or 2 of your products. That girl sent me a full month's worth of Triplex, plus I can't even remember, a few other like X Factor and Block or something, a few other products. And I remember when I opened that package, I felt very seen, but I also felt like this girl really believes in these products, because I knew that she had to have had some sort of investment in that. So she really believes in these products to invest this much. And she also really believes in me to send me this kind of stuff. So I privately started taking the products and I started to feel good, but I also felt ashamed. And so I went to Fayetteville. My husband and I lived in Fayetteville. We flew down there to go see some friends, and I had told a girlfriend of mine that I had started on them. And I remember a few weeks later, like when we were down in Fayetteville, she asked, what I thought of them. And you guys, I felt great, but I was ashamed. I was like, oh, I don't really notice anything. So like there was still something going on with me there that I had to like break past that, because I was so afraid of what other people would think. It's silly, honestly. Like I was feeling great, but I couldn't be honest with that because I was afraid of what other people would think. So December of 2016, I did not mean to be talking this long about my story, but I do think that there's power in this, because I think that we deal with a lot of people, we work with a lot of people who were like me, who were like Becky, who just were so skeptical and so against it that they have so many blocks and barricades and barriers that we can gently and lovingly get through. So in December of 2016, she ended up sending me another thing of triplex, because I had messaged her and I said, okay, how can I buy this? I think I want to try it out for like a month. And she's like, you know what, let me just send you another set. So she sent it to me again another month. So she really believed in me. And so I remember at the end of December talking with my husband and just saying, she's not going to be my sugar mama and like send me Plexus every single month for the rest of my life. I have to make a decision. Am I going to put myself out there and start these products? Because I had to get them paid for. We were not in a place where we could afford anything extra. I was the woman who was going through like on trash day and like driving around the neighborhood to see if anybody threw away furniture so I could go home and repaint it and then sell it. Or I was a woman digging through things at thrift stores and kind of cleaning them up and then selling them, a shirt for $3 at a parking lot. Like that's what we were doing. So we didn't have any extra. So I knew if I am going to continue with these products, I have to get them paid for. But I was at that crossroad of like, what am I wanting to do? And I think through the Lord's prompting of me to do this, sorry, but also like her belief in me, it was like I knew I needed to do it. And I knew that it would change everything for my family. And so in January of 2017, I did my first post. I joined and I did my first post. And it took me a month and a half to get 3 people to go with me. So if you have people like somebody mentioned on here, I think Kristen mentioned something about Trisha Rager. She went silver in like one day. That was not me. I was still so nervous, but I was stretching my comfort zone and I was coachable and I was doing the things she told me to do. I was showing up to the calls. I was on her team page and if she put a challenge out, I was doing the challenge. I was not sure of what I was doing. I was not talented. I was not gifted in any of these things other than I loved people and I had a why. I had a reason of why I was showing up. And also there may have been like a healthy bit of pride too, of like, if I'm putting my name out here and telling people I'm doing this, I'm going to go to the top. Like there's no back door. There's no way I am going to quit because I've put my name out here. I've put my family's name out here. I'm not going to walk away from something that I've committed to doing. And so, that first year and a half, it was great. We were signing a lot of people, or I was signing a lot of people. I didn't have anybody really doing the business with me. And I remember I had connected with some power partners. I did not know them from Adam, but we were all kind of going at the same speed. And I connected with Jordan Roddenberry and Joanna Miller. We had all gone senior gold at the same time. Again, didn't know each other, but we all knew of each other. And so we kind of connected and they all had different strengths and we all kind of worked together. And I remember we did a big December 100-person reach out challenge for our teams. And again, I did not really have anybody doing the business with me. We were senior golds and I was in their different threads, their team threads, just so we could be supportive of one another, learn from one another. And I remember they both had teams that were doing this 100-person reach out. Like their threads were popping. They had so much activity, so much energy, so much excitement. And you guys, we were saying like, if you do this 100-person reach out challenge with us, we'll give you $25. Like you'll get $25 or $50. I can't remember what it was, but like, that's the way that we were going to invest, like to encourage people. You guys, I was like offering to give people money. Nobody would do it on my team. And I remember looking at their threads. And I had that decision of, am I going to go down this victim mindset or am I going to just, it is what it is. And I'm going to keep going and I'm going to be the leader that I want my team to have. And this will produce fruit. This will create growth, but I can't give up when I'm looking side to side and I'm seeing other people moving and I'm not. And so when I talked to Becky, she was sharing with me kind of like the temperature of y'all's teams. Like we, many of us, lots of us had great momentum last month. Some of us may be fast start. Some of us may be new in our business and there's a lot of excitement and momentum. And you might have a really great story that your warm market is seeing and they want to jump on board with you. Or you may have been here for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years and you're in a rebuilding phase. I want you to know that like throughout my entire 7 years of doing this, there have been so many tears, but so much joy. And, I was thinking about that, like, we have to have a healthy expectation of what this business is going to be. Like, it will never be just like beautiful, like this beautiful, I'm growing, I've been here and I know all the things and life is good and it's all working out and we're in momentum all the time. Like we know, and we have to have that healthy understanding for ourselves and our team members that we're going to have highs and we're going to have lows. And when I was thinking about this, I think probably many of you, I would assume, have a relationship with the Lord. And so when I think about my relationship with the Lord, sure, like I am grateful and I have so much gratitude to the Lord in the highs, like on the mountaintop. But it's in those really hard valleys that my relationship, sorry, why am I crying? Maybe I'm about to start my period. I don't know. I'm so sorry, you all. But it's in those valleys that my relationship has just grown so deep with the Lord, and so much has been learned, and my life has been changed in those valleys, in my relationship with the Lord and in my life in general. And so who are we to think that our business is any different? And so I think that it's really important when we are, not if, but when we are in those valleys, when we're looking side to side and we see momentum apparently happening all around us but our team, or we don't have anybody showing up on our team, no one wants to do this. It's easy to get in that victim mindset, but lessons cannot be learned there. That's a form of pride. Having that humility of moving forward and learning in those valleys is where your heart will grow, where your knowledge will grow, your leadership will grow, your belief will grow, and there will just be this passion that just comes from that if you allow it. And so through my story, I hope that there are a few things that stand out to you, like with the way that Tamara pursued me. And I didn't share a whole lot about my leadership and my team, but it's been highs and lows. It's been, we'll do really well and have really great momentum. And then the people that I think are going to run with me all the way to diamond, they quit, or they do a slow fade, or people get pregnant and they have to step away for a couple of months, or, you know, like it's, that's just been my journey, as has it been with Becky and any diamond that you see. That's right. It is a life. And so some of the things that I really love about my story as really good reminders with Tamara, like be patient with your people, love your people, connect with your people, be in relationship with them, be honest with why you think they would be amazing at this, but then be a human friend, like love them. Because I think that when we are so desperate to get those dream teamers on our team, people sense that desperation and they don't necessarily feel loved by that, or wanted. They feel like a number. So just really, if you maybe make a list of the few people that you really, really would love to have on your team, and be praying over them. If you are a woman of faith, like be praying over them. Pray for the Lord to open their hearts. If this is where they ought to be, like for the Lord to open their hearts and to give them promptings, and give them some curiosity about this. And then ask the Lord to give you wisdom on how to connect with them and how to love them, and to give you the right words to say and the things to do to cast this vision with them. So being patient there, also being patient with your business as you are working towards those dream teamers. So, you look at like Celeste Gwen, and she's the top of the company. And if you look at it, I mean, she's got an incredible business, but she's only got 12 level 1 jewels. I say only, that's amazing. But if you think about that in the grand scheme of things, she's probably got thousands of customers, but out of those, she's got like just a few women and men who are running with her, like full with the business. So you don't need to have a bazillion people. And so that's why I feel like it is important to remember, like, it's important to be patient, because you have no idea who is seeing your stuff and whose heart is being worked on 4 years after you have initially cast that vision. So being patient, being a friend, casting vision with them. I think that a lot of times network marketing can get a bad rap, because a lot of times we're out like just because we want to win the cruise, or we want to get the blanket or whatever, that we don't make it about that other person. So I think making sure that we are seeing other people, we are telling them what we see in them. I think that's a huge part of casting that vision. And also when you say, hey, Roxanne, I love your heart. You are an incredible listener. People really, really value your wisdom. You love people so well, and your corn casserole is out of this world. I just want you to know that I really love you. Like, if I were to send something like that to Roxanne, and then just say, all these things make me feel like you would be so good at this business. Have you ever considered maybe doing a Plexus business? I would love to talk with you. The thing is, if Roxanne doesn't want to have anything to do with the Plexus business, for the most part, if Roxanne is like a kind-hearted individual, she is not going to be like, how dare you send me those kind comments? Like, that's going to mean something to her. Even if she never joined your team, that's our joy in our job, is to see people Melanie Mitro is a big wig with another company. So Becky and I are doing this mastermind series with her, and she always talks about how you are a professional friend. And so I think that that's really important for us to remember. Like, we're not out just to make a dollar. Like, we are growing in our friendship, and there's richness and depth in that. Um, Again, keep going. The thing that I loved about Tamara was that she messaged me that first time when she was a silver or a gold, but she did not put all of her eggs in my basket. She shared and she cast that vision for me. She loved on me. She sent me those samples, but she did not sit and wait for me. She kept moving. She kept pursuing her business. And in that's where more of my belief was built, because I didn't see her just waiting for me and relying on me. She was out changing things for her family. So make sure you're not just sitting and waiting for that one dream teamer or second dream teamer you've messaged. You keep moving forward with your business. Growing in your network is really, really important. I think that's a hard thing to do. Personally, that's one of the hardest things for me. Growing as a woman who really values relationships, but it can be done. And so I think if you can go and watch different training videos, there are a lot of jewels. And Becky, you might be this way too. I don't know, but there are a lot of jewels who did not know they're jewels before they started Plexus, and they got connected through Facebook groups or different network companies or networking activities, whatever. And so growing your network is really possible. And if you struggle with that, like I do, then that can be an area that you can really focus your training on and learn. And then don't just be a learner, get into activity and action off of what you've learned. Building your belief is so important, especially if you are in the season of the valley. It's really important. And I remember at a season of my business, my doubt was really high and my belief was really low. I had a lot of really hard things come together in a compact way at the same time. And I had to choose, and I actually have a short, like 3-minute video over this. I can send it over to you, Becky, if you'd like, but I have a short video talking about this where my doubt was so high and my belief was really low. And I had to make a choice. What am I sitting in? And I had to choose, because I had no back door. Like, I've got to build my belief. So if you're in a place where maybe you're just kind of going through the motions, or you maybe don't really believe in what you're doing, I highly recommend you to go and reach out, not to the same 3 people that you talk to all the time. Go reach out to other people that you're seeing in our Plexus community and say, hey, Christy, would you mind sharing with me your story? I'd love to hear how Plexus has changed your life. Tina, I saw you shared this really great story about X, Y, and Z. Would you mind sharing with me about that? You take ownership of your business. You take ownership of your belief, because when you operate out of a place of high belief, I feel like a lot of those hard things, the no's, the people quitting, you maybe not having the team that you desire yet. I feel like when your belief is really high, those things are not magnified. But when your belief is low, all the things are magnified. So if you're in a place where right now you're not loving your business, take ownership and go build your belief. Connect with people, ask for their stories. And then lastly, just a reminder of just having that healthy understanding that you will have highs and you will have lows. And in those lows, that does not make you a bad leader. That does not mean that you are not going to have a strong business. That doesn't say anything about you. That's just a number in a system. You get to take that ownership. You get to learn from those lessons that you're learning in the valley, because if you keep going, you will have a team. And that team will also go through valleys. And for you to be able to say, I've gone through something similar, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Keep going. Here's what I did. Here's what helped me when I was in that place. So that's all I have, Beck. I haven't looked at the comments. So if there are any questions, I'll go look right now.
That was great. That was so great. Don't ever apologize for crying on these calls. We are all, we're all tender hearts over here. I want to know who has a question for Emily. And if you do, just unmute yourself and ask.
Okay, I have a question. So once you got into momentum, once you got, you caught the vision and you were determined and you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Did you do the same kind of thing that Tamara did with you when you were reaching out for runners or dream team builders? How did that look like for you?
Are you asking like specifically, did I send like full packages of products? Did I cast vision? Like what specifically in that?
Just
Or all of it?
what did you do? What was your approach to be able to cast vision for them, to have the belief that you had gotten?
Well, what I did, I'm still doing because I really believe that it is so important for, that's a great question. I think it is so important for us to see other people. So what I did 7 years ago was I would see Sarah and I would tell her all the things that if Sarah Byers shows up in my social media or she comes to my mind and I'm like, oh, I would love to work with her. She would be amazing. I would tell her why I really genuinely loved her and why I felt like she would be amazing. And I still do that. And I will say, is this anything you'd be open to having a conversation with me about? And a lot of them would either ignore me or say no, like I did to Tamara. And I don't take offense to that. And I just continue to love them and continue to connect with them. So, yes, what Tamara did for me totally duplicated down because it worked. And because I started my business with her belief in me. So I think I felt like I had a foot up, leg up, whatever that phrase is. I had a leg up in my business because this woman who was highly successful believed in me and she told me I could do it, so I can do it. So yes, I absolutely do that thing. Now, I will tell you that if you see Emily Burgess on your social media and you don't get those feelings of like, oh, I think she'd be amazing, but you send Emily Burgess a message and you tell me all these things, but you don't actually mean it, I caution you in that because I think you want to really be careful with who you invite to do this. I think it's super important to grow a wide level one base. Very, very important. But be very honest with what you're saying to those people. So I remember my first year, I sent a message to a girl and I meant what I said. I just didn't really know her all that well. And she did not receive that well. So she was not like my Roxanne example. She was mean to me. So just be really careful though that like you do mean what you say and you're not just candy coating and sugar coating to anybody and everybody who has a Facebook Messenger.
I have a couple questions, but
I have one.
Okay, go ahead. I was like, I want other
Okay.
people to ask first.
Okay. So I'm fairly new with Plexus, about 18 months, and Sarah Byers is my sponsor. And she reached out to me like 4 years before I said yes. Okay. And one of my big reasons for not saying yes was because I had been, in full-time ministry with my husband. He's now been gone for 13 years. I'm a widow. So it took me a while to actually believe that, yes, I want this, but now I'm full in. Okay. Like I'm all in. I want to go all the way to the top. Okay. I'm one of her runners. I'm all in. Now, here's where I find that I'm having a little bit of a struggle. Okay. I don't have like a big group of people that I can look at. Like I hear sometimes like some of the diamonds will say, yeah, I had all these college friends and I reached out to them, or I had all these great friends. And, people will say, who do you want? Like who's on your dream team? Like I was a homeschool mom. I had 5 kids I raised. I was a support to my husband in ministry. I was a stay-at-home mom. Okay. And I didn't have very many friends. I mean, I've got 2,800 Facebook friends, but they're ministry friends that I'm not connected to. So when somebody says, who do you want on your dream team? I have no clue. I don't know. Like, I don't know people personally. I'm still like, I don't have a big social life outside of my Plexus friends. So what would you say to me to discover and find those people that I want to do the business with me? Like, I think to myself, holy cow, I'm a widow. My husband left me nothing. I need this. Like my big why is I don't want my adult kids taking care of me. So I've got a huge why. I can't believe that there's not other women out there that are my age. I'm 66, by the way, who don't need this. But it's like when I put the business posts out there, I get zero interest.
Well, a few thoughts. One, I
Okay.
think you're beautiful. My heart goes to you and the loss of your husband. Thank you for your service and your sacrifice for you and your husband in the ministry. My father-in-law is a pastor in Arkansas, and I know how much goes into that. So those are a few initial thoughts. Also, I think I already said this, but you are very beautiful. Second thought is you have a big network. You know, like when you were first talking, immediately I was like, okay, Brittany Howard, like this sounds a lot like Brittany Howard. She homeschooled all of her kids. She was a teenage mom. She didn't have a network. She was, you know, she's introverted. She, all the things from a teeny tiny place. Also like Brooke Hemingway, she had what, I think like 170 friends on social media. This Melanie Mitro girl that Becky and I are talking about, like she had 75 friends on Facebook and didn't even have an Instagram. So when you pulled that number on me and you said, you know, I've got 2,800 friends on Facebook, to me, I'm like, okay, well, there's something here. And you're connected through ministry. I think for me, if I were you, I would unfollow, not unfriend, but like mute or unfollow all of my Plexus friends. So that way my news feed is filled with people who are not Plexus, because the algorithm, you're probably mainly seeing like Plexus friends. So that would be my first step. Spend 15 minutes a day, like set a timer, 10 or 15 minutes a day, so you don't get sucked in that, and just every day go and like unfollow or, you know, mute those Plexus people. Then the next step I would do, and Becky, feel free to jump in too. The next thing I would do is I would be paying attention to those 2,800 friends through ministry or connections through ministry. And I would be seeing like, who am I kind of connecting with? Like, who on here do I feel connected to? Write their name down, and then you're going to see that you actually have more connections and more network than you actually believe. And then maybe start connecting with them, start building relationships with them. You know, I am somebody that I really, really like, at the very beginning, and this is something that not everybody agrees with, but for me, this feels right, is if I haven't talked to somebody in years and years and years, and I send them a message, I'm going to probably tell them like my intention and why I'm messaging them from the very beginning. Like, hey, Christy, I know it's been, and this is off the cuff, so this may not be great. Hey, Christy, it's been, 20 years since you and I have connected. I love seeing your stuff on social media every now and then. You have a really, really beautiful family. I'm really sorry to see, about the loss with your husband a few years ago. Maybe I wouldn't actually, I don't know if I'd actually say that, because that feels like I don't want to go from there to Plexus. So maybe I would just be like, you have a really great family. And, it's great to see you on here. Hey, again, I know it's been 20 years, but when you and I were connected in high school or whatever, I just remember you always just being somebody that was always really kind, and you were somebody that was a really good friend to me. And when I think of kind-hearted people that I would love to be reconnected with, I think about you. And okay, you guys, this is all off the cuff. This is not great, but I would like say something like about them and like what I remember about them in the past, and I don't know if this is anything you'd ever be interested in, but I am doing this, Plexus thing. I think you'd be great at this. If this is anything you'd be interested in, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, where did you get that really cute sweater that you were wearing in your picture? Okay, so that was not great. Bear with me here, but I would like do something like that. And that would be my initial, like I would bring up Plexus to them, but then I would have another connector in there. And if they say, I'm not interested, totally fine. But I would love to stay connected with you because it's been so long. And I would like continue to build that relationship with them. And I say that because, like I said, I had so many people messaging me, copying and pasting about Plexus, or I'd have like people that I knew were doing network marketing that I hadn't talked to in years. And they would just send me a message and be like, hey girl, how was your week? And I'm like, you haven't talked to me. Like, I know what your angle is here. Just be honest with me. And then we can move forward. So I don't know if that's helpful, Christy, but I think I would just peel back the layer of your Plexus people. You have a great network of people who are like-minded who love the Lord and you have some connection with them. And I would just start writing down some names, praying over those people, getting connected with them. If you want to send them a choppy message like I just created about Plexus initially, or if you want to do a connection with them, that's where I would start.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I took notes while you were talking.
I love that. And Christy, come on, girl. 18 months, you're exploding. Don't get in you're not in competition with 40-year-old diamonds. Okay. You're in competition with yourself. So stick with that. You're doing awesome.
And also, Christy, I mean, when I started my Plexus business, I remember telling my parents, and they're about your age. And I remember them being very worried about it being a pyramid scheme.
Oh, yeah, I've heard it.
And so, that might be the generation that you're working with. And so that might be a part of you having to like educate and build belief and kind of change the mindsets of some people.
Well, that was the mindset of my own grown daughters. In fact, one of them came to dinner right after I signed up and said, "Oh, so I understand you're a part of a pyramid scheme now." She rolled her eyes and we laughed about it. And I said, "No, those are actually illegal. Your mom's doing everything that's legal." Well, they're not laughing now because I've taken my oldest daughter on the cruise with me, and one of my younger daughters is now my guest to Punta Cana. So, that I am building belief that way. But let me ask you this other one thing, because you just said something and I was like, okay. When discouragement, I know discouragement hits us all. And I had like what I thought was going to be a rock star runner join me in July. She went from, joining to like fast start. What did she go to, Sarah? Fast start gold? Did she go? Yeah, fast start
senior gold.
She went fast start senior gold. Okay. I didn't even go that fast. I went fast start gold. Yeah. And then she just dropped off and I lost like 200 points in 1 month. It's like, I went to 500 and something and I thought, oh my gosh, this is great. I've got a team now. They're adding 100, they'll add 100 points a month. And now it's like, I ended last month at, 300 something. So I'm building back up. But there's that fear, right? That you're going to find a rock star, you're going to find somebody, and then they're going to do that to you. So I'm cautious now about who I talk to or who I'm going to say this to, because I really did think she was somebody that was all in. Like she was ministry minded. She understood where we were coming from, believed God brought Plexus to her. And then all of a sudden it was like, no, maybe not.
Well, so there's a book. I'm trying to remember. I think it was, which one? Casey, which one did you, not High Performance Habits. Casey, which book did we just read by John Maxwell?
Was it 5 levels?
Yes. 5 levels of leadership. Yes.
Okay.
And he talks about that. He talks about how not everybody is going to be a leader. Not everyone is going to step into that. But if you are not, and this is me paraphrasing, is that the right word? This is not quoting. But basically he's saying, like, as a leader, you've got to keep offering it. You've got to keep leading these people, because you're not going to have everybody do this. And I liken what you say to like dating. I was a big dater. I dated a lot of people. And so I feel like getting people as a business builder, it feels that way. Like you eventually like kind of get discouraged. You're like, oh, this isn't the one. Oh, I thought this was going to be the one. I thought this was going to be the one. So I feel what you're saying, but that is part of your learning process. Like you are learning, okay, what went well with this person? What can I be working on? How can I change this up for the next people that come on board? I can't tell you how many leaders I have had that have done that. Like the moment we went Emerald, and then the very next month, 3 of my top leaders just totally quit. And so, I mean, you can sit in that place, which it doesn't sound like you are. I sat in the place of imposter syndrome. I sat in that place of woe is me. No one's staying. It's all about me. I'm a bad leader. I don't know what I'm doing. And I sat in that for 8 months, and it was terrible. It was awful. But then when I finally got to the place of like, okay, it is what it is. I need to pull myself up from the bootstraps, and I need to just keep moving forward and learn and grow. So I get your hesitation, but not everyone's going to give up on you. There are going to be people that catch that vision with you, but you can't not share and you can't not help, because if you do, you're not going to move forward in your business.
Okay. All right. Advice taken.
That was so good. Such a good example. I hope you heard what Emily said about going emerald and then losing several leaders. And I want to normalize it, not to fill you with fear, but like she talked about at the top of the call, setting expectations for growth is, you're not on an upward trajectory. You're all over the map sometimes. And your self-talk is so important. I love that you addressed like victim mindset. Let me ask a question I've been thinking about. When you got paired up with Jordan Roddenberry and Joanna Miller, who paired y'all up? And it's so funny. I remember watching the three of y'all, like we kind of knew about y'all. We're like, whoa. And you guys were developing, I think, some new strategies. I remember that's when Joanna Miller was doing the messenger events. And like, we hadn't done that yet. I want to say that was 2021 when that started happening. And just knowing that all three of you guys were kind of like-minded in how you jumped in, although different personalities. Who paired you guys up? And what was the gift of that power partnership with people outside of your team?
So no one paired us up. This is the power of being involved in your business and being coachable and showing up to your team pages. So I was on Tamara's team page. So I was always seeing Jordan because Jordan is in Tamara's downline. So every month, Tamara would have like a top recruiter post and she would tag those of us who are in the top 10, 20, something, I can't remember. And Jordan and I were always like neck and neck. And so I would see her, she would see me, we'd see each other's, recognition graphics or whatever. But I was also in Jen Leith's team page because she's a good friend of mine. Well, Joanna Miller is in that team page. And so I would look at Tamara's page for just resources, for training, for challenges. And I also was doing the same in Jen's page. And I think I went senior gold in September of 2017. And that was the same month that I saw this beautiful girl, Joanna Miller's recognition or rank up post in Jen Lee's team. So I remember going to Joanna's page because I'm thinking, okay, she and I both ranked up at the same time. I went to her page. I'd never seen her before, didn't know anything about her. And I started looking at her page and all of her Plexus posts. And I remember thinking she was the most beautiful poster. And so I just sent her a message and just said, hey, I don't know you. My name's Emily. We both are with Plexus. We both ranked up to senior gold. I just want you to know that I think you're beautiful and you are by far my favorite poster now. Like, I just found you. You're my favorite poster. Well, then she responded, and a week later, she was like, hey, do you want to be power partners? So it was her. Like, she was the one that took that ownership. I had no idea what that meant. Like, I didn't know if it was like muscle building, like working out. I didn't know what that meant. But I said, yeah, sure. And then a month later, Jordan Roddenberry ranked up to senior gold. And so I asked Joanna, hey, what do you think about us bringing her in? And Joanna didn't want to. Joanna was against it because she thought what we had going was really good. But I said, I feel like we should. So the three of us came in. Again, we had never talked, never met. And then as far as your question of like, how did it bless outside of the team? What do you mean exactly?
No, I mean, like, how did you guys get the synergy that you have? And then how did you're all three driven in different ways, I think. I don't know Joanna that well, but I know you and Jordan. How did that threesome become what it is now? Because you guys still partner together a lot, right?
We do, yeah, we still do stuff all the time. We talk every day. I think it's finding like-minded people who are showing up to their business and are at they have similar goals and similar work ethic. I have a lot of people on my team, and Casey's on here, Karen's on here, some of the girls on my team, they can attest to this. Like, a lot of my team will like try to go find somebody, but they're just not moving at the same speed. And so it's somebody pulling somebody behind or somebody pulling somebody down. And so for us, it was like, I don't know how to answer that other than it was just timing and the Lord putting us together. But we were all ranking up at the same time, and we all had goals of getting to diamond. And so it was really beautiful because they really challenged me. They're really strong in certain areas that I'm not. And so we really just connected and really created something beautiful between our 3 teams. And like I said, we still do like gold and above training every month. We do jewel training every month. We do stories events. We do opportunity events. Like we're still very connected because there's so much power when you're rowing together and you're unified. So it's been beautiful. I mean, we all like ranked up and we all hit like silver stars together, and we all did emerald and diamond all within just a few months of one another. So very, very important to have that to push us, because this business, you have to be really disciplined. And if you're relying on yourself to show up every day to do the same things over and over, when you're not seeing really fast results, which for the most part, that happens because like Christy was saying, Becky, I don't know about you, but I see when a lot of people go really fast, they burn out just as fast. So I'm not surprised at all that your senior gold, who went fast start senior gold, burned out. But when you have people who have their eye on something and they are showing up every day and they're challenging one another, you don't want to be the odd man out. You don't want to be the weak one. You want to be showing up. At least that's been our experience.
And what I love about it too, let me just say this as an upline and as someone who has power partners outside of my team. I think what's amazing is something happens when you're in a thread or in a group and your upline isn't there. And it's that you really rise to leadership without depending on someone else. I have done so much partnership with Andrea. I'm so thankful for Andrea, but I notice that sometimes my biggest areas of growth happen when I do stuff without her. Let me be clear. We partner together on the table on our team. That's so important. I'm not saying that, but when I go and, I'm brainstorming with Julia Carty, we're not on each other's teams at all. Or Rebecca Folks, who's under a totally separate, she's under Suzanne. It's a totally separate leg of Celeste. When I partner with her, it's just causes me to have to push myself up to that level. And that's so important. If you're in a stagnant season, I bet you haven't risked in a while. I bet you haven't pressed yourself into uncomfortable places. And that is the magic. So I love seeing y'all's partnership. I think I've watched some videos of you guys as you were up and coming. And I think you guys also have like a kindred spirit among the 3 of you. So, I love that. I would say, guys, if you need power partners, you should pray first and then start pursuing. And I think it was Casey. Yeah, Casey made a great point in the chat that sometimes power partners change. And that is so true. Sometimes you go through a shift and you kind of switch out who you're partnering with. It's good. It's all grist for the mill. Okay, listen, we've kept you on for almost an hour. I want to honor your time. I just want to say thank you, Emily. That was so good, guys. I hope that was beneficial for you. You mentioned a video that you said you would send over, but I'm trying to remember
I'll send it
what
to
it
you.
was.
It's that one, the high doubt, low belief. But
Yes.
I want to say one last thing, and then I'll
Please.
shut up.
No, please say
What
it.
you said, Becky, about the ownership. I will tell you, when I look at my team, our team, when I look at other teams, the people who are moving forward are those that take ownership. They are not sitting and waiting for their upline to do something. They are getting their hands dirty. They are learning, they're failing forward, but they are taking the dadgum ownership. I did not have Tamara spoon feeding me. Tamara was not hosting events for me. She was hosting events that I was sending people to, I was inviting people to, but that was duplicating down. So I knew how to then go do that. I wasn't waiting for her to do that for me. So that's what I see with my leaders who are strong leaders. They are taking ownership. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not asking for help. They absolutely are, but they are the ones that understand, just like Brittany Howard says, their name is on their paycheck. It's not their upline. It's not their downline. They have that understanding that it's up to them.
And I think that's where growth is. I'm so glad you said that even at the end of the call. Growth really happens when you take radical ownership of your business. And in order to do so, you have to take a really hard look at the areas of your business that you're not 100% owning, right? And you've got to go, okay, I haven't 100% owned recruitment or development. I haven't really owned the leadership that I need to. And I think if you can spend some time really thinking about and praying about, where am I lacking ownership? What's going to happen is in 2024, that's going to be the area that you press into and you begin to see real growth happen. So, okay, that's our ending word. We appreciate you so much, Emily. Such good stuff here. I will post the recording soon, and y'all have a great rest of your Monday. Thanks for joining.